I am Dr. Pavitra Bharadwaj and I work as an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science, Jesus and Mary College, University of Delhi. So friends, as you are following the lectures, you know that we are taking up a series on web programming, and these lectures are also a part of that series. So far we are talking about front end web development, that is what happens at the client's end and how the client's end of the website or the web pages are designed. So we had discussed about HTML in great detail and how you can design the different elements of a web page using HTML5, how you can create frames, how you can create tables, forms, etc. Then we had also talked about one step ahead of HTML, that is we were talking about the cascading style sheets. That is how you can further enhance the working or further enhance the functionality and the attributes of the HTML tags that we have learnt in the previous lectures. So we know that style sheets, basically they are a way of defining the behavior of the HTML tags. You can further refine the behavior of the existing HTML tags using the style sheet elements. So in the previous lecture we had discussed basically what are style sheets and what are the different ways in which styles can be incorporated into our existing web pages. So we had discussed that a basic style rule, how it looks like. So if you want to define the style or if you want to define the the rules for a particular tag, how do you do that? So you define it for one tag, that is you write the name of the tag. For instance, you write the P tag and in curly braces you define the properties of the tag. So you write the name of the property, you write a colon and you give it a value. Also it should be noted that these names of properties as well as the values, in most cases these are predefined. Actually the names of the properties are always predefined, but sometimes you have, like for example color, you can give it your own value, but many a times for a lot of properties the value is also predefined and you have to choose out of the given values. For the same element you can give more than one properties also, like you can see we can give first property for a paragraph like font size, and then you can give another property for the same tag like say background color, and you can separate these by a semicolon. So this is a simple way of defining the style rule in your HTML page. Then you can also define the styles for one element at a time, that is for one tag at a time, or you can define it for a family of tags. Like for example, if you want all headings to have a background color of purple, so you can define that also using say comma separated elements, and then you define the same property, right? And if you want a particular property to be inherited by all the tags or all the elements on your page, then you write it using a star, right? Then we will also talk about how you can use the hash element for defining the property of a particular ID by ID. We've been talking about the ID attribute. So here we will talk about that attribute and how you can define a property for that particular kind of element, right? So we had seen that there are three ways basically by which you can add the style or add the style rule into your web page, right? That is, first is that you define it within your web page, that is known as embedding. Embedding means that within the head part of your web page you will define the style. Like in this example you can see we are defining it within the head and we are giving the rule for H1 and H2 property, right? Then another way of defining it is using the inline style. Inline means that within one particular instance of that tag the style element will work. So within the tag you will write style and you will define the style for that particular tag instance. So you have style rules here. Say for example, if you want to give a color, right? So you can give in color, you can write the name of the color, Okay, you can give it in the hexadecimal format, or you can give it in RGB format, or you can give it in percentage format. Whichever way you want, you can define the color, right? So likewise, there is another way in which the style sheet can be defined, that is using an external style sheet, right? So we had discussed that we can put the entire style rule in one separate file, and we save that file using the CSS extension, and then you link that file to your HTML pages, right? So basically there are three levels of styling that we can apply. The first level is the inline style, that is applicable for that one particular instance of the tag. Then you can put the style definition in the head portion of a web page of an HTML file. So that particular definition will be applicable for all the instances of the tag on that one particular web page. And the third is using the linking, that is you create a CSS file and you link it with your HTML file. So if you have n number of HTML files and you link the same CSS file with all those HTML files, then all the files will inherit the same style. So this is very useful, when we are creating large websites, that you can easily control the layout, the look and the feel of the page consistently of all the pages, because you are defining the style only once. You don't have to do it again and again. And then the last but not the least is the browser default. Like we know that every browser, it has got its own defaults also, like a default font or a default color that it is going to show. Now the important question here is that, for example, for the same tag, say for the P tag, I am defining the style in an inline also, then in the head portion also, like in the embedded style also I am defining a style, and I am also using an external style sheet to link the HTML file. Okay, and of course there is a browser default also. So then actually which of the above four definitions will be applicable to that particular tag, that is how the tag is going to appear. So there is an order for this, and that's why it is known as cascading order or cascading styles. Cascading means that if the style has been defined at four different levels, so the first priority will be given to the inline style, that is that particular style is going to be used. If an inline style is not there, then it will be taking the embedded style sheet. If embedded is also not there, then it will take the external style sheet, and if none of the style sheets have been defined, then it will take the browser default behavior for that particular tag. So this is the order in which the style will be displayed. Whenever there is a conflict, whenever multiple styles are defined for the tag and there is a conflict, so then we must understand that inline will be displayed, second priority will be given to embedded, third priority will be given to external, and fourth priority will be given to browser default. So that is why sometimes when we are using multiple ways of defining styles, we should be careful that how these styles are going to be implemented or how the output is going to be generated, right. So we have seen that there are some style definitions which can be given for almost all the attributes or almost all the tags of HTML, right. So and there are some properties and there are some attributes which are applicable to more than one tag, like for example color attribute, right. So color attribute can be useful for font, it is used for backgrounds, it is used for it is used for font colors, it is used for multiple table column grid line colors or ruling colors, different colors, the color color property can be used. Now otherwise in HTML we had seen that you can define the property or you can define the color using two ways. First was giving the name of the color, that is you can give the absolute name of the color, there is a predefined set of names out of which you can choose. And the second way of defining color was the hexadecimal color code, in which we define the name of the color using the hash key and you write it in the 6-bit format. So you have 00, first 00 is for the first two digits are for red, the next two digits are for green and the next two are for blue. So RGB format you can define the color. But sometimes it becomes even more rigorous to define the color, and therefore in the style or in the CSS definition there are two more ways in which color can be defined. So here you can also define the color using the intensity of 0 to 255. So you simply write RGB and then you write the intensity of the red, green and blue in the form of an absolute number, okay, in the form as an absolute number varying from 0 to 255. Okay. So when you write 0, 0, 255 means that you want a 100% blue color. Likewise, whichever digit and of course you can also create the combination. Then color can also be defined using a percentage format, that is again in RGB. Instead of writing an absolute number, you can write a percentage of the particular color that you want. This is also very useful when you want to create a combination color, when you do not have a color, a pre-specified color, but when you want to create a shade of your own. So this way of specifying the color property is very, very important here, right. So we can see here in this table also it is shown that different ways of showing the same color. So you can show it either by the color name, okay, or you can show it by the hexadecimal code, or you can show it using the RGB. So RGB is specified by 0 to 255, hexadecimal is shown by 0 to 9 and then A to F, and of course color is the direct name of the color. Likewise, now text also is a very important aspect of all web pages, and it is very significant that we control the appearance of the text, right. So in HTML we had seen that we only could give the font in the points, right. So we gave the font from from 0 to 7, but here when you are using style sheets you have a lot of flexibility and you can specify the font in 3 different formats, right. So you can specify the font in the form of pixels, so you can simply write PX, okay. So when we know that pixel means a picture element means that it is a dot on the screen, right. So when you say font size is equal to 14 px, it means that your font size is equal to 14 pixels, right. Then you can also define it in the form of points, that is pt. Pt means point, and 1 point is equal to 1 upon 72 of an inch, that is 1 by 72th part of an inch is 1 point. So that also will give the same result, so 12 point. And then you can also use another notation that is called PC. PC stands for pica. Pica means 12 points. Okay, so if you write font size is equal to 2 PC, so it means it is equal to 24 points, it is double. Then at some places you will also see that font size has been specified using the M notation. M notation basically means that the font is going to be of the dimension of the letter M of that particular font which the user is choosing. Okay, you can specify it in percentage, you can specify using the notation of EM. EM basically comes to M. Okay. So this way we have a lot of flexibility in controlling the color as well as the size of the text that is appearing on the screen. Then in many of the websites we see how hyperlinks are behaving, right. So generally we see two behaviors of hyperlinks, that when you click on a link its color changes to purple, before that it remains blue, right. But if you want to add more interesting attributes to the anchor tag, to the behavior of the anchor tag, you can do that as well. So this is you can give it 4 classes. These are known as pseudo classes because these are not real classes. So we can actually control the behavior of the hyperlinks and how they appear. So you can specify how the link will originally appear, how a visited link will appear, how it will appear when the user hovers the mouse over the link, and how an active link will appear. So we can define the behavior, we can define colors for different kinds of link. The fresh link, an active link, a link which has been visited, and the color of the link when the mouse is being hovered over the link. How we can specify or how we can modify these? So, we can simply write a:"link" and you specify the color, okay. Then you write a:"visited." So, after the link has been visited, the color will change to green, okay. Then a:"hover." So, then you can write the color is fuchsia and the font weight will be bold. That is when the user will hover the mouse over the hyperlink, its font weight will also appear as bold and the color will also change. And an active link, the font size will be 30 point. So, these are the 4 behaviors that we are specifying for the hyperlinks and how they will appear on the page, right. So, this kind of this kind of intricate and very specific behavior control of the tags is possible only when you use the CSS elements. If you are only using HTML, then you cannot micro control all these tags the way you are doing it now, okay. Then we take further the font properties only. So, a font family is a very important attribute that we want to apply, right. So, what is a font family? It is actually a collection of related fonts, right. So, fonts they will differ in size, they differ in weight, okay. So, we have got different families that we define in the font family property, okay, and you define more than one family, okay, and you always include the generic font family. See, we need to understand that the website has to be any person or any browser should be able to view the web page correctly. So, whatever properties we are defining for the web page, we need to make sure that they open on different web browsers and different hardwares and different kinds of devices properly. So, therefore, it is always recommended that you give multiple values for the font family, because if one particular value is not supported, another value can be chosen or the third value can be chosen or a default value can be given. For example, in this particular example you can see that we are writing font family, okay, and we are giving first value, then we are giving another value, say French script empty, okay, then we are giving a third value, say cursive. So, what is the purpose of this? That if the first choice font is not available, then the second choice font can be used. If the second choice is not available, then the third type, that is the generic font, can be used. So, likewise we can define an order of preference for the font, first preference, second preference, and then of course you have the generic font, okay. So, generic font means that kind of font will be available in all the browser. So, if none of the fonts is visible, then at least this will be shown. Now, why do we have to define the font family? Because every designer, he or she they have their own preference in which they want the text to appear, and also the impact of the website is crucially affected if the right font family is not used. So, therefore, it is it's very important that a family is defined and also a generic font is given, so that otherwise the browser defaults will be taken, and that no designer would want that the browser default font should be shown in the website, right. So, you can see that if you go in the font properties of your system, you can also see that there are multiple generic fonts which are specified. So, every system has got certain generic fonts which are specified. So, if you do not specify a font, then the text will be appearing according to the system settings of the particular user who is looking at your website. So, therefore, a font family is very importantly specified. Now, besides the font family, also there are other very important text properties which can be specified, rather which are very commonly specified, and they have got preset values. In a large number of cases, they have preset values also. Like for example, we already discussed font family, then you can also have the font size. And there are different ways in which font size can be specified. It can be specified as M, it can be specified as percentage, it can be specified as point, and it can also be specified using names. So, what are the names? You have small, extra small, large, extra large and medium. So, these are all vis-a-vis the default. So, large means larger than the default, small means smaller than the default, right. Then you also have the font weight, that is the weight of the font. So, in this also you can specify whether you want a bold font or you want other types of font here. Then we always have a font style. Font style means whether you want an italic style or you want a normal style or you want an oblique style. So, font style can be specified, font size, font weight, family can be specified. Color, of course, we have already discussed that there are different ways in which the color can be specified, and also the alignment of the font, that is how the text is going to be aligned, whether it is going to be left, right, center or justified alignment, right. So, a lot of properties related to the font tag and to the text appearance can be defined likewise, So, it is very interesting to look at these properties and to use them in our web pages to get the real feel of the whole thing, right. So, we will be continuing with our discussion on style sheets. Till then, please keep watching CEC. Thank you.